So Perplexity is a consumer product,
Exactly.
and a Hasura is an enterprise product.
PromptQL is an enterprise.
Actually.
Correct. Like 5 of the Fortune 10 are customers. So
What a flex. These LLMs that are trained on public data, how do they work with
enterprise data?
Yeah.
They don't. They don't.
I think there's some MIT study that says that 95% of enterprise AI pilots are failing.
The big reason is kind of it's super fun, right? It's like in a race car. You could lose every race. You could also win every race. So what I'm now noticing is like business teams that have tech moving much faster and better than tech teams solving for the business inside an enterprise. The mechanistic view of the world where we are used to building deterministic machines, we over-rotate on a particular kind of reliability and accuracy that actually holds us back.
Hi, this is Amrut. We are at IIT Madras, my alma mater, and India's top university for people who like to build. We are here to meet some builders, ask them, what are you building? What does it take to build? And what makes IIT Madras the best place to build? Hello and welcome to the Best Place to Build podcast. Today we are sitting with Tanmai Gopal. He's the CEO and co-founder of Hasura. It's a technology product company, unicorn since 2022. They're San Francisco based and they build products called GraphQL Engine and PromptQL. I have no idea what that means. We will learn today. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Okay, so can you give me a basic understanding of what your business does?
Yeah. So PromptQL is an AI analyst for enterprises where accuracy is fairly critical. Instead of whenever you kind of want to make a decision in a business that you're an operator, you have a data team that you ask a question to, you ask to run through some analysis, you collaborate with them. So instead of having to go to another human, now you go to AI and AI kind of does that work for you and helps you now make a decision. So that AI product is what PromptQL is.
Okay.
And it builds on top of our older product, GraphQL, the core kind of technology and IP that came out of the previous product, GraphQL.
Okay, fantastic. So for me to understand this, I think there'll be a few things that I need to help me unpack them. So you use the word AI accuracy, right? And from our own personal experience, we know that AI hallucinates a lot. Can you just explain why and how are you solving for that?
Yeah. So the problem, it's a complex problem to break down. But if you just frame the problem statement a little bit and the criticality of the problem statement, right? The problem statement is that if you imagine kind of the science fiction future where AI just does things for you, there's ambient AI, right? You're at work.
Ambient AI. Okay.
So there's like things around you that just work, right? It's this science fiction kind of reality. What holds that back is our ability to kind of trust AI for it to be accurately doing the things that we want it to do, right? In this current form factor that we have with LLMs, the specific problem around accuracy, there's lots of technical problems that we can get to in a second, but there's kind of an overarching business problem on top, which is what we primarily solve for, and the rest is kind of implementation detail. But kind of this big problem with accuracy in the context of a business or an organization is that accuracy is also kind of collaborative and social. So the problem often is that there is no right answer. When you ask sometimes, is this going well? Should I do this? How does this compare to that? The definition of the metrics, the definition of what well is extremely
Fluid. Sure.
fluid and also collaborative. And that kind of really holds things back. Does that track? Does that make sense to you when I say
Fair enough.
collaborative?
Fair enough, but but there are times when it is not. I mean, it's factual, and LLMs still get it wrong, right?
So, and that's kind of the technical piece. There's kind of a technical piece to it where if there is a known accurate answer,
Okay.
right? There's a known metric that you want to measure. There's a known objective reality or truth that you want to get to, or fact that you want to get, and LLMs still get that wrong. And so that's kind of the technical problem also. So there are two very big problems for an organization to achieve this reality of, I'm going to hand off some analysis to AI, it's going to do something, and I'm going to trust it and go make a business decision on top, right? So both of those problems are problems that we solve for.
Okay, fine. I mean, I know you work for enterprise, and I'll come to that in a minute, but let me give you a problem that I have. We've recorded about 50 of these podcasts, and we want to give it to an AI and say, make 50 reels for us, cross reels. That is, take something from here, take something from there, and so on, and stitch it together. And it uses the transcript. And then it as of now, it gives us garbage.
Yeah, total garbage.
Although the promise is there,
Mm.
but what ends up happening is that it gets the context wrong, and sometimes it picks up things that maybe would be relevant to a different audience, but is not relevant to our audience. So it doesn't really have that intelligence at all.
Correct. And so there are two problems to that state. There are two specific problems to unpack there to do that well. The first problem is the context of what good is and what you want it to do.
Sure.
Right? Knowing what that is, it is itself hard. Right? Knowing that for a particular podcast, or a particular transcript, for a particular point in time, what your audience cares about, there's something topical in the news today, or the theme, right, that you want to align to. That context itself, that is what a human would have done. If you give it to a human being to make a reel, that human would have had that context, internal and external, and they would have fed context well to the AI. That's kind of one part of it. The second part of it is knowing that context, right? The human has a degree of reliability and determinism in kind of doing the same thing again. Once it's known, it's good, right? But with AI, there's kind of always a little bit of touch and go where you're like, boss, every time I use it, it might do something else entirely, right?
Yeah, humans have
Like-
this ability to self-doubt, and like, maybe I'm not sure of this, but AIs are like,
Yeah, they don't have any.
confidently spit something.
Yeah, when we call it confidently wrong, right? It's like one of the big problems that we talk about is like AI is confidently wrong is a huge issue to adoption.
Is that a problem you're solving?
Yeah, that ends up being a problem that we solve.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's very critical for adoption. Because if the thing that you're talking to doesn't tell you that it's wrong, you can't use it. Because even if it says it's 95% accurate, you have no idea when you're in the 5%. So you don't, as a user, you don't know when you're statistically on the 95% or the 5% side. So if you don't know when you're going to be in the 5% side, it's too risky to use something, right? You'd rather use something that is 50% accurate, but that tells you every single time, or gives you an indication of when to trust it or not. That's okay. Because 1 in 2 times I'll use what you're saying. But if it's 95% and I don't know when it'll be wrong, I can't use the system.
Yeah.
Right? I can't rely on the system.
You'll end up being super safe.
You'll end up being super safe by not using the system. You're like, why should I use this? Because you won't even know, right?
I've heard this, I think there's some MIT study that says that 95% of enterprise AI pilots are failing.
Yeah.
Is this a reason?
Yeah. The big reason is kind of the symptom behind it failing, or the way that you measure that it's failing, is that people are not adopting it or using it as much as we thought they would in enterprise, right? Because of this kind of confidently wrong problem, etc. And then when you kind of unpack where that problem comes from, it comes from essentially kind of like the two core things that you talked about, which is like that context that is missing, which is tribal. The ability to kind of repeatably, deterministically do something, which is hard, which is an expectation that you have with other things, but that you don't have with AI. And then your form factor that makes you unable to trust it, which is the confidently wrong problem, right? So it kind of comes from these kind of two core things and one form factor thing. The form factor thing is like, how do you trust a system that will always be inaccurate?
Fair enough. From a computer science perspective, 95% is an improvement of 90%, is an improvement of 60%. But a manager sitting in a I don't know, a large multinational company, that needs to be 100%.
So that's, I think, the key point to attack that will unravel the system. That, like, does it need to be 100% and what does it mean? But I think you're absolutely right in the sense that if my keyboard that I press A on gives me A 95% of the times, it's not usable. So we don't know how to use machines that have not got, like, we've historically engineered systems that are like airplane grade, right? Like, we want all our systems to be airplane grade. It just works.
That's a
for
very interesting
years.
point.
So we don't even as humans know how to use something that will always be inaccurate because it's intelligence. Intelligence is always inaccurate, right? Like you talk to a colleague or working with somebody, they're always inaccurate. They're not 100% accurate. They're not like a machine at all. They're not like a computer. They do not have anything close to the reliability or the
Unless the
accuracy.
task is very, like, go switch on that bulb.
Even that, you have to go switch on that bulb also. Anything can happen. Go switch on that bulb means which bulb, which room. Sometimes, most of the times, your friend will know what you mean, that you're talking about the dining room, living room. But sometimes your friend will be like, hey, he's sitting in that room, means I'll switch on that room light.
That is correct. That is correct. I've had these very intelligent conversations with my colleagues and my partner where I'm like, that person from that place is coming to do that. And
Demonstrative adjective that is carrying forward your entire context. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So intelligence is fundamentally inaccurate, but the ROI that you get from that inaccuracy and ability to context, to transfer context and assume that you know what I know, and get it, that ROI is so high that we love working with humans. But machines we don't know how to use, right?
Machines have to be absolutely perfect.
As
of now.
That's the form factor problem.
okay.
That's how we know how to use these machines, right? That's also kind of why the only successful Gen AI thing that we've seen in the last 3 years has been ChatGPT's conversational AI form factor. Very few other form factors have really exploded, right? When you talk about Gen AI, so when we say AI in this conversation, when I say AI, I mostly mean Gen AI and LLMs. I don't mean computer science AI, which is like 50 years of AI, and a variety of techniques, right? I mean the current. This is also probably what future generations are doing.
Fair enough. I'm just thinking of a time maybe when you were graduating, and I know that you did some work when you were in Insti on Vision.
Yeah.
When say a system today where face unlock, for example, face unlock works. There's no doubt on it, and there's no chance.
It gets me and my brother wrong. Still does.
Is it?
Yeah, because we look really similar. We're not twins, but we look really similar.
I mean, the max problem I've had is sometimes I've had to adjust my specs or.
No, it'll unlock. I can unlock my brother can unlock me. This is still valid. This has been valid since it came out. This is still valid. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
So it's so
interesting.
Yeah. So machine learning.
So can you does it happen on like a airline queue, like one of those face unlock queues?
We've not had, and if I would not talk about it.
Done.
On whether that's happened or not, but yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, actually, I'm just thinking now because you mentioned twins. I'm wondering whether one of these proof of life or KYC issues happen with twins, or.
I think it's one of those problems that you don't need to kind of end up solving, because A, it's so rare, and also it's fungible only. Like at the end of it, who cares? It's a little bit of a Zen problem with twins sometimes, where.
That is true. Somebody once told me that if humans can't tell apart, how do you expect machines to tell apart?
And if humans can't tell apart and they don't need to, then what's the point? And then when humans need to.
Let's come back. One of the things you mentioned is enterprise AI. So, sorry, I know it's very basic, but what is enterprise AI?
AI that's deployed in enterprise. So AI that is kind of deployed in enterprise at scale, that supports something that is business critical. That's kind of the.
Is there a definition for the word enterprise?
So usually, I would say that they are either very late stage private companies, companies that are usually held by PE or public, and at a scale of, let's say, over $500 million in revenue at the very least.
Okay.
That would be kind of a good, decent threshold for product companies to think about the word enterprise.
Okay, so in India that would mean like a SBI, HDFC, Zomato, Swiggy.
Correct. Zomato, Swiggy, I would say, are still. They wouldn't think of themselves as an enterprise, but they're getting there. Okay, now they're getting there. Yeah.
So these really large companies.
They have their own ecosystems. They have lots of departments. They have politics. They have budgets. They have planning year cycles. They're like mini.
Why is AI different for them? Why is enterprise AI different for them? And
so traditionally, you think of products, like the world tends to think of tech products into consumer and enterprise. Those are the two. So either you make a shit ton of money by selling to the consumer directly at a small price point, or you make a crap ton of money by selling to the largest companies in the world solving problems at enterprise scale. So you solve at consumer scale or you solve at enterprise scale. So even if you sell to small teams, right, the company becomes large only when you're able to sell that product to the largest of enterprise, when you're able to solve that problem. That's why they call it enterprise and not small team, small. Everybody deserves a product, right? Like a team, an organization, a small IIT, whatever. But you think of it as consumer or enterprise. Those are the two kind of extremes.
Okay.
Right.
So Perplexity is a consumer product,
Exactly.
and a Hasura is an enterprise product.
PromptQL is an enterprise product. Yeah.
PromptQL is an
Yeah.
enterprise product. Okay, understood. And the expectation of accuracy is
Very different.
okay.
Right.
So in enterprise AI, the expectation of accuracy is 99%.
So the expectation of accuracy is that whoever is, it should be trustable. Is
Okay.
rather the definition of accuracy for AI, I would say. So yes, if you say AI, people will say I want 100% accuracy, but it's never going to happen. So what you need is 100% trustable. That's the flip. That's the flip that we need to make when we think about these new kinds of products that we've made, right?
Sure.
Which is instead of building a product that is 100% accurate, we focus on building a product that is 100% trustable at any level of accuracy. So even if our product has low accuracy, it's 100% trustable. And then we keep increasing accuracy gradually.
Understood.
Make it more.
I'm just thinking of a few things. I started my career in Unilever. That's, I guess, an enterprise company.
Yeah.
So if
Massive
there is there is a I'm thinking of the data analysts team. Obviously, they do all these. This is 15 years, 20 years back. Obviously, the company has changed a lot. So no comments on the company now. But there were these analytics teams which would analyze data and create reports.
Yeah.
Which I think is getting replaced with AI a lot.
Yeah, correct.
And there, I guess accuracy is a big deal, because if I query something like show me the sales data for
exactly.
15 territories,
Correct.
I want the exact data, 95 accuracy.
Exactly.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But there was also teams that would sort of predict the expected sales for the next 1 year and things like that.
Yeah.
Forecasting.
Yeah. So I just want to, even when you ask a simple question like what are my sales or whatever, right? That accuracy also you think is like a deterministic answer, but it often isn't, because it's also contextual, right? Like, did you handle all of sales? Did you handle sales for a particular region? Did you handle sales for a particular segment? Like, what you mean by that? There are, although the answer is deterministic, there are caveats, right?
Fair.
And when you talk to an analyst, what that human being is doing for you, who makes a report for you and your team, they have the context of you and your team loaded in their mind.
Sure.
So they can pull the deterministically repeatable answer again and again for you and your team, but knowing that that answer could be different
Sure.
for other teams. That's important too.
Like, for instance, I might ask the analyst, don't count returns.
Exactly.
Show me only moving stock.
Exactly. Or don't show repeat cost. I want net new.
Yeah,
like,
net new.
Right, whatever, right? Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Great. Fantastic. So a bit about enterprise. Also, as you're saying it, I realize that enterprises obviously have a lot of their own data, right?
Yes.
Which is not available to everyone. So these LLMs that are trained on public data, how do they work with I mean, I
enterprise data?
Yeah.
They don't. Like, they don't. So that's the problem. That's the $1 trillion opportunity, right?
So if I take, if I'm sitting in Unilever, which I haven't, but if I'm sitting in Unilever, or okay, let me take an example from here. So we help a lot of students with admissions to IIT Madras. And obviously, IIT Madras has created hundreds of documents and policies and whatever, the academic framework and stuff like that. And often people have asked us, why don't we just feed it into Claude and let people ask questions of Claude? And I'm always very afraid, because J is a very sensitive topic. If I get wrong information, I take a wrong decision, then, I mean, if Claude gives something that's not accurate, not 100% accurate, that could lead to somebody's life being totally screwed, right? Okay, explain.
So what I mean by that is that you would be surprised at how resilient people are at being able to understand accuracy themselves. So
okay.
So you're over engineering by thinking that you need to give them a fully accurate answer. For them, the unlock in just having that data accessible and queryable is so much better than their baseline that they are totally willing to spend the extra few minutes
checking again or cross-checking. Oh, this is what you meant by saying that the human being is a part of that system where they are sort of interacting with the query or interacting with the system.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So that value is already super high because that data itself is so hard to access that if IIT just gave me a JE assistant that I could transparently query and go back and forth with, I'll figure it out myself. Like it's fine, you know. Yeah.
Okay, that's very helpful, and that sort of helps me understand that maybe from the enterprise point, from the org point of view, I have some fear of this, but from the end user point of view, there's some flexibility that's available. There's some behavior change that is there.
Exactly. And always as kind of technical and technology teams, we end up kind of like, especially because we all come from like the mechanistic view of the world where we are used to building deterministic machines. We over-rotate on a particular kind of reliability and accuracy that that actually holds us back. And so what I'm now noticing is like business teams that have tech moving much faster and better than tech teams solving for the business inside an enterprise. So it's fascinating. Like the CTO and CIO organizations are actually have too much baggage and are moving slower than business teams who are hiring tech people and getting problems solved for business. It's just a fundamental and absolutely fascinating shift.
Very interesting. I want to push a little bit more on data, but before that, I'm looking at my notes and I have underlined two things called RAG and agent.
Yeah.
And I want to understand what is RAG and agent.
So RAG was a technique that came up a few years ago that became a way of kind of saying, that became a cheap and easy way of loading data and giving it into context when you're querying an LLM. So the LLM kind of architectures are fundamentally natural language and natural language out, right? You give it a prompt, and then based on what it sees in the prompt, it responds to you, right? So the better your prompt is, the better the answer is. So now if I want to integrate data that the LLM has not seen before, I just put it in the prompt. Like you take the PDF and you just put the PDF in the prompt.
So if I have a lot of enterprise data, then I pick the relevant enterprise data
and you put it in the prompt,
okay,
and then it responds to you with the results. That was the kind of hypothesis with RAG that would work. And to a degree that works, but most of the times it just spectacularly fails. And the two simple ways to think about it spectacularly failing are like very intuitively, it's very easy to understand. The first is that structured data means that you like, or large amounts of unstructured data means you can't fit everything into prompt. How are you going to fit everything into a single prompt, right? It's not possible. You want to analyze some trends across like last 10 years of how something happened
across nations,
even within IIT. But if you have too much depth or you have too much breadth to what you're doing, it's not possible to squeeze all that data within the prompt anyway. So like, what are you going to do, right? So that obviously is not going to work. The second is that it's kind of a black box. Like it'll work or it'll not work. There's nothing much that you can do about it. Like it'll have a certain mechanism at focusing on certain parts of the context if it's a very large piece of context. That may or may not be accurate, but there's not much you can do about it. And so that lack of control means that it's unusable, especially from an enterprise point of view.
Fair enough. When I'm talking to an analyst, not an AI analyst, but a real analyst, and I give it a PDF with a lot of context.
I like how you've objectified your human analysts also. You will give it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You give it only the data.
I'm sorry, analysts. I'll continue with it. If I give it a PDF, I might additionally say things like, these pages are more important, this is less important, or maybe they will know it.
Maybe they'll know it, right? And that ability to get them to shift in a particular direction is very easy. So even in an LLM, if you give it the PDF and then you give it those extra instructions, hey, look at this page, look at that page, look at that page, LLMs have now gotten good enough to be able to do that pretty well.
Okay.
But then there's the problem of now persisting the relevant part of that prompt across future iterations.
Oh.
So now something in this is important that you don't want to say again.
Yeah.
This now, so basically like it's unusable. Like you can't use this anymore. You're like every single time now I have to like, it's very confusing, right? The form factor is like I have to predict what the holes in your intelligence are so that I can dynamically fill those holes in your intelligence every time I talk to you.
Yeah.
Because you will load up from scratch every single time. It's too weird, no?
Fair enough.
You don't work like this.
Fair enough. Also, there's an expectation from a machine that I told you, why don't you remember it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so you don't even know how to work with things that don't remember things.
I mean, we work with human beings. They don't remember things.
They don't usually make it very long in a workplace.
But one thing is that if a human being doesn't remember, they'll tell you that there is some
yes,
interactivity.
yes, always. That is the high quality.
Or they will look blank and you're like,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
I can see from your
Yes.
face that
Yes. Yes.
some overhead transmission has happened.
Correct. The social cues and the emoji cues and all of that, right? All of that forms a big part of trust, right? Or even when the analyst comes back to you with your sales target answer, if the analyst says, hey, listen, I'm kind of not sure about this data because I picked it up from here and I'm like, I'm a little bit worried about it.
Okay.
They'll give you all these meta indications.
Fantastic. Want to go back to something you said about data being structured and unstructured. I have a basic understanding of what it means, but can you just like
so unstructured data is like Google Docs and Slack and also multimodal data like PowerPoints, videos, audio, etc. And structured data is stuff that the origin is usually unstructured data that you've and put into a database.
Okay.
You've cleaned it up, you've put it into a database, and now you can query it with SQL, SQL, structured query language.
Okay, great, fantastic. And LLMs work with structured and unstructured data.
LLMs don't work with any data. LLMs only work with natural language in, natural language out.
Okay.
That's the, I mean, so when we talk about text LLMs, there are lots of kinds of LLMs, but the typical chat GPT kind of like LLM, they work only with one thing. They work with natural language in and natural language out.
Well, multimodal.
Multimodal is when they work with video in, text out, or so text in, video out. Or text plus video in, video plus text out.
Okay, fantastic. So at an enterprise level, because your company works with enterprise AI, what I understand is confidently wrong is a big problem. Accuracy is an issue. Data is an issue. How to access it. Is security and access control,
which is usually connected to data. So essentially, it's a problem of like you can't give all data access to every single person to read or write.
Okay. Are these problems common across sectors? Like, I mean, HUL is Unilever is a consumer goods product, but say a bank like HDFC, are the problems similar?
So the technology problem is similar, but the particular instance of the specific problem is different. So the technology problem is very similar, that there's broadly an access control policy governance issue that every single person, every single company has. How it manifests in particular, how it's controlled, etc., is different for every single company.
Okay. So for a company like yours, when you're working with different sectors, do you work with a lot of sectors or are you like single sector?
No, we work with a lot of sectors.
Okay. So is it a new learning every time?
No, we did a lot of new learning every single time many years ago, but now all of that has gotten condensed into the product, which now scales across.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you're a unicorn scale company, so I'm guessing that this problem was when you were much earlier.
Correct. Like 5 of the Fortune 10 are customers. So
5 of the Fortune 10 are your customers. What a flex.
Who are all from very different industries and verticals, right?
Amazing. So with this context, can you say that again? So what does PromptQL do and what does GraphQL do? Now that I have a lot more context.
So GraphQL, our older product, which laid kind of the foundation on the data part of the technology, but nothing else, was essentially the problem statement was, hey, data is in a lot of different places. It needs to be access controlled and secured, and it's hard to access different kinds of systems. So how do we create a unified way for different products, technology, software, etc., to access that data without requiring the humans to kind of merge it, plumb it, all of that together? So that was the GraphQL problem, right? The PromptQL problem is a totally different problem, which is the problem statement of saying, how can business users trust AI to do their analysis on data and actually go on with the business of decision making, right? So that's the PromptQL problem. So PromptQL says, let's give humans an interface to AI so that AI can talk to all data instead of a team and a data team, so that the actual business users can get on with the day-to-day business of decision making, whatever.
Understood. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Can I ask you, how did you get into this? And maybe you were a student here from 2007 to 12, so maybe we can trace it from your student days Are you from Chennai? How did you get to IIT Madras in the first place?
So I grew up in Gujarat. My folks are from UP. Um, and then
Were you a very nerdy student?
I think in hindsight it seems like I was, but also I was very what do you call it?
I mean, you have to be, right? You were CS at IIT Madras.
I guess it was more like I really wanted to do science
Okay.
research. I wanted to be a scientist when I grew up, right? And then in 10th, I think my mom was like, science and all Vanda, please do IIT. It's the best place for science. This was a scam that was, it's like, oh, okay. If you're saying so, must be.
Ye-
So
Can I just laugh at the point where you said your mother said Vanda? Your mother's from UP and you're
yeah,
from
no,
Ahmedabad?
she didn't say Vanda, but like whatever.
Okay, the equivalent of
she, she said, no, science best is IIT, do IIT. I'm like, okay, then we'll do IIT. And I
Okay.
ended up with JEE. And then like computer science really fascinated me.
Okay.
And then my dad was a lecturer in German here before he joined the civil services.
Oh, okay.
And so
Which
he
year?
always, this was 1986, 87, 88.
86, 88. Your dad was a German lecturer
Yeah,
at IIT Madras.
85,
Okay,
86,
okay,
87, that time frame. Yeah.
Very interesting.
And so I always had a fascination. So Madras, for anybody north of the Vindhyas, is like, oh my God, Madras, Chennai. What happened? Do they only eat like idli sambar? Is there no other food? Is this what they all eat? So it was never like that. It was more of like it was not a far off
Yeah.
place, right? And so when I got the option to study computer science here, I was like, this is perfect. This is amazing. And then of course, like once you visit, it's just like beautiful campus.
You were in computer science, and then, I mean, this is. Did you work somewhere else? How did you get an insight into these kind of problems?
I knew very early that I wanted to build something by myself on my own terms. Maybe when I was in 6th grade or something, and then after IIT, I started my own consulting business to kind of just really get into industry. I had this kind of feeling that the faster I get into the real world, the more kind of truth I will get. Like the speed of learning will be much faster in how people are, how they purchase, how decisions are made. And so I started my consulting business because that's the only thing I could do. And I started that. And
This
then
was immediately after.
just immediately after, I think I got my first gig through an alumni, a CS alumni's mom, who was a very senior executive at a company here in Chennai, who helped me land my first gig here consulting.
Why? Sorry, why didn't you take a job? I mean, CS at IIT Madras.
Because I felt like it will be like a very corrupting influence. It the golden handcuffs.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it'll just pay too well, and you'll be just on a particular trajectory that opting out of is too hard.
Fair enough, because I've heard other people talk about that if we take a very high paying job,
It becomes
it's a
hard.
great outcome, but
It becomes hard, and every single year that goes by, it becomes hard to switch out.
yeah.
Right.
And if you're clear on your mind from day one that you want to be on your own, and were you clear?
I wanted to like in Hindi it's called ukharna hai. So I wanted to do that for a long time.
This is the Dexter's lab mindset.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yes. That's exactly it. In my mind, I was one little Dexter. Then I grew up and realized, okay, Dexter Aukat is not there. But I can hire lots of Dexters. Then we'll get it. So,
for those of you who didn't get this context, Dexter would, in every episode, decide to take over the world.
As a 7-year-old, so but yeah, and so then I started my own consulting business, and then that led into the creation of our first product, which is GraphQL Engine, which was open source and developer led, which did really, really well, and because of that adoption in some of the largest companies on the planet, I kind of understood a lot. When we built GraphQL Engine, we built it to solve our problem as developers, as technologists. we had no idea how big the problem really was. Then when it actually got used by enterprise customers, we were like, this is massive. This, like, we had no idea how big this problem was.
Yeah.
And so then when we started doing prompt QL, because everything got reset in the AI world, right? Like there's a full reset. Like almost nothing from the old world is going to matter soon. And so as we kind of leaned in hard into the fact that everything is going to reset for AI, we could kind of directly take an enterprise stance, which was like for us an evolution on the previous world, right? Because now we had kind of clarity of understanding of like how enterprise works, which was, we didn't understand that earlier.
Fair enough. I also want to commend that this approach of building for developers and then scaling it massively. Very few Indian companies have done it. I can only think of maybe Postman. Of course, you, Hasura, Postman, Browser Stack, maybe.
Browser stack that. That's it.
Universe of 3.
For the number of the highest number of developers,
Yeah.
Absolute volume in the world.
Yeah.
Kind of
So,
weird, but yeah.
so just to recap, you started a consulting company. You figured out something that you were doing for a developer consulting company, not a management consulting company.
Yeah, like a software engineering or software tech consulting company.
Tech consulting company. Then, as you were solving problems for others, first of all, your consulting business grew to give you enterprises grade customers. Under the hood, you developed GraphQL, and GraphQL took over for your business a lot.
We had to shut down the consulting firm. That's when we incorporated seed, raised VC. That's when we started our VC journey.
So your consulting journey was what, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Slightly more, maybe 5.
Okay. 5 years of, and that itself grew quite a bit. And then now you've been 7 years on your product journey.
Correct.
Okay, that's great. I want to just go back to one point here that I have noted, that you were here from 2007 to 12, and that batch has, or maybe 1 year junior, senior, has had bunch of startups, unicorns, Aether, MediBuddy, Zetwork, all from that era of, I mean, I've had the chance to interview some of them. So what was different? I mean, was there something on campus? Something happened? Do you guys have a
Something in the water?
Do you guys have a secret WhatsApp group where you are sort of
like unicorn club?
Yeah.
No, I actually, that's you're so I don't have the data from across different years, but is that something that's local to our batch? You've seen
my
like
year,
that
I think,
area?
my year, unicorns, Darwin Box founders,
Okay,
Jayant is
okay,
from my
okay.
very reticent, doesn't come on the
Right.
podcast at all. Jayant, if you're watching, please come. No, I don't know. I mean, CFI was new. That's the only difference. Maybe Research Park was new.
Yeah. So maybe, I'm guessing.
You mentioned innovation and social entrepreneurship course. I think that was new.
It was a really fun course, but I think it wasn't like it didn't fit into IIT's program, so they ended up scrapping it. I loved that minor. I had the time of my life.
The winds of change were blowing though, because Flipkart had started.
So I think that is kind of what was happening. So what was happening, I think, at the 2007 thing was the mobile revolution had just started. I think that had just happened. So the dream of build an app that will scale to Facebook levels, that had suddenly become a university kid thing that was accessible. So I think there was something in the air.
Yeah, fair enough. They were always Dexters, but they didn't know how to.
It was not accessible before. Suddenly it was like, oh, in my mobile only I can build something and everybody will use it. It'll be amazing. And although like it's not like the startups that you mentioned are all in that space, but I think that just changed the temperature a little bit. And I think also maybe the 2008 kind of financial thing also.
The crisis happened.
The crisis also happened. Maybe that created a little bit of an alternative mindset of saying, let's explore.
Fair enough. I mean, every time there's a crisis, a lot of people are like, oh, jobs are actually not that great.
Exactly. Right. So maybe that created enough of a something in the water, something in the air kind of thing. Yeah. Maybe.
I know. Yeah. Fine. Fine. I mean, that's great. So then you start your consulting business, then you start your product business, and then your product business has moved into the hottest space in the world, which is AI. In my career, I worked with a few AI companies. Damn scary, because Monday morning you make a plan and Tuesday morning it's gone.
Usually Monday 3 p.m. it's changed.
Yeah. So how is it for you? The speed of change. Are you loving it? Is it scary? Are you able to sleep at night?
I live for the I live for the adrenaline rush of that speed of change. That's my happy place. So I absolutely love it. It's extremely intense. The speed of change is yeah, it's extremely intense on several counts. Like, first of all, because you're in a hot space in general, where the people that you're competing with are simultaneously every single Y Combinator batch, but then also like $100 billion public companies, but also potentially the AI labs that are now like $500 billion companies, right? It's that hot. It's like white hot. So I think that itself brings a certain speed of change that is critical. But then also AI itself, the things that it makes possible, both from a technology execution org structure point of view inside a startup, itself is creating ways of working that are so new that has another thing with it altogether, right? It's not just like if you were in 2008 working in the hottest space, 5 other companies are doing whatever was top of mind at that time. That's also hot.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other level of hot.
Yeah.
Because your execution speed is also fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
So,
and you also moved from Bangalore to SF, right?
Yeah. In that 2018, we raised, as soon as we were supposed to move just before COVID, but then I think we ended up moving right after COVID ended, 2021.
I mean, Bangalore is a great place. I stay there, and from entrepreneurial activity, it's quite. But I'm guessing that SF is where everything is happening.
Yeah.
Was it a good change for you? Was it a necessary change for you?
It was existential.
Existential.
It was an existential. In the words of my mom, she was like, "Beta, go to the US after finishing IIT." I was like, "What? I don't know what you're doing, but please go to the US." I was like, "Why will I go to the US? Look from India only." Stupidest thing to have thought about.
You could have
in this space. Because in the just like how you're saying Bangalore is critical for so ecosystems happen, right? Like ecosystems get created, and just like how Bangalore is kind of a very good ecosystem for a certain kind of thing, Silicon Valley is just the epitome of that ecosystem. There is that concentration of producers and consumers in a very small geographic area creates a certain speed and intensity of truth discovery.
Sure.
Or like what the ML folks would call like a certain kind of gradient descent, right? That it creates. Like that becomes, things just move faster. It's like IIT, right? It's like you're on campus with a bunch of brilliant people. Things just happen.
Yeah.
Things in CFI just happen.
Yeah.
Could have happened anywhere. It's not like it couldn't have happened, but it just happens because of that concentration, right? So I think that's what happens there. And then especially if you're in software tech, it becomes critical to be in that ecosystem, right? So it becomes existential for every single software company. It is existential.
But I'm also thinking that if you're serving enterprise customers, there's also a much higher concentration of enterprise customers there. So your customers there.
That's what I mean, right? That concentration just happens there. Okay. So that's where the best, earliest enterprise customers are. Where if you find fit, it then scales to the rest of the world. So every single enterprise in the world is a laggard to the early adopters that happen in the valley.
Fair enough.
And so that's what it creates, right? So that and now especially with AI, it's become even more apparent. I always say like there's an order of magnitude difference in how much we understand about AI in literally the 2 blocks in San Francisco where the AI labs that are closest to understanding what's happening and where it's heading. The rest of San Francisco has one level of understanding. The rest of like the US and China have one level of understanding, and then there's the rest of the world. There's literally drops.
Fair enough. And I guess this is a technology wave we've seen before. Semiconductors was also like that.
Exactly.
Everything happened there.
Exactly.
Now it's exploded across the world, and maybe the pockets of knowledge are spread up.
Exactly.
I hope it happens fast.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all of us will have to go there. Although I want to say that you mentioned about adrenaline and speed of change, and I feel like as a person, I'm very happy sitting in the side and watching rather than being, because it feels like it could be very unnerving, very scary. But it's nice to hear you say that it's exciting and
it's super fun, right? It's like you're in a race car. You could lose every race. You could also win every race.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. By the way, I want to just inform you that your old department, computer science, has sort of split into two departments now.
Amazing.
There's a department of AI and data science, and
Amazing.
data science and AI.
Yeah.
Funded by one of our alumnus, Vadvani. So it's called the Vadvani School of Data Science and AI.
Amazing.
And there's of course the CS department. So
Very cool.
Professor Ravindran is heading it.
Yeah. He was amazing at the time when I.
Did you have did you have courses with him?
Yeah. Absolutely. He was one of our favorite professors for the batch.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. What a great conversation. I have actually run out of things to ask you. For students who are currently, or students, young professionals, maybe 18 to 25, 28, who are thinking of getting into AI or as a career choice, or thinking of building a business around this AI revolution, do you have any advice?
Yeah, I would say build a lot of just build a lot of products. Especially with AI, the ability to build products become very easy. So just build a lot of products and then take that product to market, like get users. Build a product, get users, build a product, get users. Go through that cycle as many times as you can. I think that's the most helpful thing. And then second is academically, study as much AI as you can. That'll just ground you in enough of the first principles for the world that is going to change. Amod Malviya, who was the CTO at Flipkart, who's one of our angel investors, I think put it really well when I was chatting with him recently. He said, one of the key kind of revolutions of this time is going to be that GPU infrastructure is going to get massively subsidized. And because that will happen, the ability for the average engineer to just build a new kind of system, to train neural networks, to train AI, to build small models, to build specialized models, is going to go through the roof in a few years. Once the core LLM hype kind of settles, that will be kind of the consequent. And which means that the more we use this time to study AI from first principles, computer science, AI, math, that area, the better it is. So academically get steeped in that. And from a business point of view, just build. Those two, I think, are good.
Okay, so build go to market is your suggestion, and also maybe like you mentioned academically study a lot.
Study AI.
Study AI a lot.
Like
you also mentioned the word
study less, but study AI a lot is what I mean.
and you mentioned first principles.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question here because first principles comes up a lot in this conversation.
Uh-huh.
In our podcast.
Yeah.
How would you define first principles to someone who doesn't get it? Like someone comes and asks you, what do you mean by first principles thinking?
So it's like design thinking. It's like why was something built the way it was built? So when you understand that, the things that you end up with are like first principles.
So you start thinking of why and
why is it the way this is built? Like nobody's stupid, nobody's bad, nobody's evil. Some people are, but like broadly. So there is a reason to why things are the way they are, and why some products are successful, some are bad, why some models are successful, why some people pay for something, some people don't. There's a reason and rationale to things that usually boils down to some set of invariants. Those are first principles. Those are invariant. Those don't change. Everything above that is changes.
So sort of don't assume, just keep asking why.
Just keep asking
get
why,
to the basics.
get to the basics, and then when you do, you can build back up from the basics to do whatever you want to do.
Okay, understood. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed myself.
Thank you.
I want to ask you one question as you leave. If life is so intense and there's so many other things, do you have time for anything else in life?
So, nobody's been able to keep up with my level of energy, which I'm only finding out now. But every Friday, I used to be into Hindustani classical a lot. As a listener, I can't. If I could play music, that's the only thing I would do. But I can't play, so I listen. And then after moving to SF, I got into electronic EDM a lot. And so every Friday night from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., Friday or Saturday, I go to a really nice EDM club, which is an absolute great time for me and a good stress buster. And then I hike on the weekends as well. But the set of people who come along with me, people have come and people have gone. Not been able to keep that level of energy, but I've sustained it.
Nice.
So I'm still searching for some perpetual partner who can make it through this 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. party life.
Through the week and then the EDM and then the hike.
12 and then hike.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, that's all we have for today. Please like, share, subscribe. Tanmay is on LinkedIn and on Twitter. So is his company. Please follow. And if you have questions, you can drop a comment. Thank you.